A bit of music while we just get started, and we've got some success.
Yay!
Actually, success. I'm just going to put on my bells. This is a recording that I did a few months ago, and it's just a nice way to start the show, to set the vibe, and just say welcome, everyone. Oops, welcome to today's uplifting conversation. Courage for change. Well, we certainly need some courage. Catherine and I have been sitting for an hour to pull all this together, which shows that we have determination, persistence. So grab yourself some oils if you are tuning in. Make yourself comfortable and join us on the show. So thank you everyone for joining us on this week's Uplifting Conversations with Catherine and Kay. And today we are talking about, well, courage for changing, courage for doing things, but we are going to be talking about the fields of healing and essential oils, and sharing with you some ways that using Catherine's techniques with the fields of healing can support you to stay balanced, in harmony and uplifted. And we will be also discussing how to use essential oils and which essential oils will be helpful for your courage for change. And today our conversation is all around the base chakra and getting our energy into alignment from our base. So welcome, Catherine, and thank you for your amazing patience. You kept your cool, and I'm very impressed.
And so did you.
Yeah, I'm saying just
Funny
cool.
that the title of our thing today is about change, because the
Yes.
only constant in the world is change, and it is constantly changing. And so through these times, it's base chakra is the energy center that is about survival, vitality, and abundance. And it's a red color, and it governs the feet and the legs and the kidneys, the bladder, the spine, our glands, but also the adrenal glands. So the adrenal glands are very much about coping and about what we're going through in life and how well we're dealing with life. So this energy center, when we're real grounded in it, then we have clarity in our mind. And when we're out of balance, we might have problems with self-expression or self-preservation or fear. But when we're in balance, we have clarity, we have abundance, and we have flow. So that's the base energy center, and it's like a support system for all the other energy centers that come up through the body. And they're kind of like a big spiral. And around us, there's energy coming from all levels. Some of you may have heard of the torus, and it's like a field of energy that comes in and a field of energy that comes up. And I'm sure it's all connected through those energy centers. And so that's what they call the chakra is the term, but we can just call them energy centers too. And they sometimes can be a bit blocked, or the entry point or the exit can be out. So say, for example, your heart chakra had some blockage, then it might be at the front or at the back. And so each of these has a frequency, and our essential oils have frequency. And so quite often, there are many ways which we can do that through the Tibetan bowls or the crystal bowls, the sound healing, but also we can use the frequency of the essential oils to actually help activate and balance our base chakra. So I will play you one bowl, which also includes all the energy centers, but also the base. And so you might like to hear that. And so I'm just going to play it. And this can kind of activate our earth center, our energy center.
Well, that certainly was very calming. Now, you might be able to still hear the tone of the bowl, but I know that our audio on these shows doesn't always give it due justice, the beautiful sounds that these bowls offer. But it was
Sure.
just nice to sit just for a moment, because you and I have been frantically copying links and doing all sorts of things behind the scenes. So, it's that important reminder for all of us: when things aren't going according to plan, keep your cool, because it will work out in the long run. So, um, yeah. So we've got some people joining us. If you are joining us, say hello. Let us know where you're streaming from, and please be part of this conversation if you've got something to offer. If you've got questions, please be part of this conversation, and we will do our best to include you in this conversation. So, Catherine, tell us a little bit about just a little bit, because there might be some people who don't know a little bit about the work you do. So would you like to talk about, the conversation was on the fields of healing. So let's know a little bit, what do you mean by the fields anyway? That's what I'd like to ask.
Okay, well, there really is only one field, but for the sake of energy work, we can break that field up into 7 fields. And in the fields, this is taken from an ancient. I'm looking around, and I've got the chart here. This might help.
Your
So,
microphone's a little bit glitchy too, so if you speak
is it?
quietly and maybe turn it up, might be a bit
Yes.
easier for turn up
Okay.
just speak up a little bit, because it might be a
Okay.
little bit easier for us to hear.
Is that better?
Yeah, something's glitching. Just keep
Is
going. We'll see how we go.
Okay. So these are, if you imagine this is a head, and then this is the heart, and then these are the feet, and this is a human. And so each part of our body, the energy comes in through the 7th field down and is activated by the kidney and bladder, and also the base chakra, and then the energy spirals around back up. And so this is a constant motion. And in the first field, the base chakra is about what I just told you about survival, about strength and courage and abundance. And the 2 meridians and organs that are associated is the kidney and the bladder and the adrenal glands. And this is what I call the core. And this is based on an ancient system that has been used in, and what you do is you can use your energy muscle test to navigate your way around. And I was going to show everyone a way of grounding your energy and stabilizing the hips that you can do at home. So when we're ready, okay, what we can do is we'll go in and show everyone that energy technique.
Okay.
So yeah, and then the way we balance these fields is by using essential oils or tapping or sound.
Okay. Can I just ask you about you're using your iPad? Is
Yes.
the speaker down below? Something's a little bit staticky.
Uh,
Do you need to lift your speaker now? Speak again.
I just turned the microphone off and then back on.
Back
Um,
on. Yeah. Is the speaker at the bottom of your iPad? Is it sitting on your iPad? Does it need to come up a little bit, or
I don't have a speaker on the bottom. It's
oh, you
just,
no, your microphone? See, on my phone, there's my microphone, and if I sit it down, something's glitching. That's all.
oh, I see.
Whether that's what it
Moving.
is, I'm not sure.
Is that better? Is
Mm,
that
just
better?
just keep. Not really. I'm not sure what's happening. Anyway,
Okay.
just keep going. Just keep going. See what's happening. We are certainly being tried today.
We
So
are.
that's an indication there's some really good stuff here that we would like to share with you.
I'm just adding in an echo cancellation.
Yes, that might help.
Is any better?
Not really.
No. Okay, we tried. We try.
Yeah.
You do the talking, Kay.
I'll do the talking. Okay, so Catherine works with energy centers, and she's actually very, very talented at what she does. I love having sessions with Catherine, and she will use muscle testing. She will ask questions, and she will muscle test to get answers, because we know that our body has innate wisdom, and that means really that our body knows what's going on, even if we don't know on a conscious level. Our body knows, and using testing is a way to get in touch with the body and to communicate with the body to see what it needs and how we can support ourselves. Now, today we thought we would start with a technique that Catherine uses for balancing the base chakra. So I'll hand it over to you. If you just speak slowly, that will help if people are finding it a bit tricky.
Okay. This can be a technique that could be used for balancing the pelvis to a second point. So quite often I balance the pelvis to a cranial bone. So sometimes what we find is when we find 2 points, that everything in between, like your 2 hands, for example, the energy centers, everything in between can balance. And there's something called scalar. Now, I don't really know how to explain, but they say if you have 2 vehicles that are completely exactly the same and they come at each other speeding, then they will stop right before they collide. And something to do with scalar energy. So we have that is activated when we hold 2 points. But this is specifically for the pelvis. And I call this one sitting pelvis, and I find a second point. So in this, we are going to use it to help us ground. So we are connecting it into our base energy field, which is down, coming up from below and coming up to the kidney bladder area and the coccyx, all that area, at first field. So energetically, what you can do is sit on a chair and sit at the very end of the chair. And what you're doing is you're going to put your hand up and you're going to push yourself, but don't let yourself fall. Now, or you can go the other way. Now, in this side, I'm very strong. I'm not going anywhere. I'm pushing myself in the opposite direction and I'm not moving. But when I go to this one, I find that that moves. Now, are you experiencing that, Kay, at all?
I
You
am. I
are?
felt my left side was not as powerful as my right side.
Right. All right. So what you do is you take your hand and you put it under your sit bone. Now, Kay, could you stand up and turn around? Yeah. But what you're going to do is, now look at me. I'm going to do it under the sit bone. See, can you see me under the sit bone or not?
Right. Yeah, you keep
Okay.
keep walking, we might. Anyway, it's the bone we sit on, isn't it?
Yes, it's a sit bone, but I want the hand to go outwards to
Right.
yeah, you know what I mean? Heading out towards the outside of the hip. So you're
Yeah.
going to go to that weak side, whichever weak side that was, say it's this one. Then you're going to put your hand under your sit bone, and then you're going to sit down, put your hand under the sit bone, then you draw an energy line between your head right down deep into the ground. So sit down at the end of your chair and just
So
draw
do
a
I
line
use my hand that on the side that was weak?
on the weak. That's right, the
Okay.
weak side. And then you're going to pull the hand out that way towards outside the hip. And then you're just going to draw a line from your head and anchor your energy deep into the earth, pulling the hip out, 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 and then sliding your hand out. So your imaginary line is going from your mind into the ground, and you're going to slide your hip out. So it's like you're pulling your sit bone outwards.
Yep.
Does that make sense, Kate?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Now, what you do is you take a nice big breath and you're connecting with your base chakra. And then you go and put your hand back to the side that was weak. And then you push again and you see No, not just sit on your
Yes.
shoulder. And you try and push again, and then
Yes.
try the other side.
Nice. Yes,
Now,
I can feel that is, and it's really subtle, isn't it? It's not as if you can really
no,
push it up.
no,
You've got to be in.
you probably need to do it again, because what happens is when you pull your hand out from underneath your sit bone, out, and drop, and then it's sort of the energy drops, you're not going to move when it's corrected. So try it again. Try it one more time. Put your hand under the sit bone that was
Yes.
weak. Don't worry about the other hand.
Oh,
Just
okay.
hand under the sit bone. And
Yes.
then with your mind, you're energetically connecting to the earth, and you're sliding your hand out, 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 down, 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 and you pull it out from underneath the sit bone. And you should feel like an anchoring. How did
Mm-hmm.
that go?
Yep. Yes.
And then you could tap yourself in through your head, your heart to the gut. And so to the gut. That's it. Take a nice big breath. And then back again. And then just wait for a moment. Then what you do is you go back and you try and push yourself, but I expect it to sit straight, that you won't move.
Okay. Yes, that feels more solid.
Good. Try the other side.
Yes, that's fairly solid.
That's it. So what you just did is you just pulled your sit bone out and aligned it and anchored it to your ground chakra or your
Mm.
base chakra. So your
Yes.
energies.
So
Yes.
we're getting ourselves earthed. Now let's go over the when I think about being earthed and when I think about being balanced, excuse me, and empowered in my base chakra, I know that we feel safety in the physical world. And that is so important, isn't it?
Yes.
Because when we're not feeling safe in our physical world, things go awry and our stress levels get higher, and our ability to function in the everyday world diminishes.
Yes.
So, the importance of how we feel safe in this world allows us to function in so many ways. And when we are functioning, we can work on those things. We've been talking about abundance today and feeling, or, I know when you're feeling lack of security, that inner security, fear occurs.
That's right.
What other things might you think would be affected?
Well, like I mentioned before, when your adrenals are really busy with trying to cope and they feel overwhelmed, and that part of the brain, part of the job of the kidney and the bladder is actually release fear. So a little bit of fear is okay because it'll get you across that road when there's a car coming. So that kind of fear is good because it gets us moving. But
Yes,
ultimately, we do not want the body in a flight and fight state. So quite often the pelvis can twist like we just saw. And so you
yes,
might be on one side but not on the other. That side you need to stabilize the hip. And a very good thing that you just brought up, Kay, was that I am safe in my body. So if we say at the same time, I am safe in my body, or surrender the fear, we have an amazing essential oil called Release. And
yes,
Release is a beautiful blend that when you can put it in an area where you might, for example, feel a lot of stress in your abdominal, like in your diaphragm. So you can actually take your hands, put a drop of release on your hands, breathe it in, then take it. Let's just say you feel stressed in your diaphragm, and you can put your hands there and then just energetically pull that out and take a big breath while you're doing it, and then release all that stress. Release, or you might just put your hands on top of your kidneys around the back or around the front. And then you could put a drop of oil on there and just rub it into your kidneys. And that will help the hydration of the kidneys, but also make it feel stronger. And so that's how we use the oils when we are wanting to ground or wanting to move that fear and then you might take a feeling or a belief statement. A very good person to listen to is Byron Katie on beliefs. And then you can take that belief and turn it around to, I am safe in my body.
Mm.
I am safe in my environment. And as Bruce Lipton talks a lot about balancing in your environment, he says you can take the same culture cells and put them exactly same cells in two different environments, and they grow completely two different ways. So the way we can really make ourselves feel safe in our environment is by the thoughts, is by the beliefs, and focusing on what we want instead of what we don't want.
Absolutely. And that is such an empowering thing, because once we get to that, that point in the spiral, that we start, spiraling down and down, 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 and then you get to the bottom of the barrel. I mean, the only good thing about that is there's only one way, and that's up. But when you get to that rock bottom,
Yeah.
however, we don't want to be in the sludge and the heaviness of feeling totally unempowered. And for me, the base chakra is also about the ability for movement, for action. It's that, when our base chakra is out of sorts, you don't feel like getting up off the couch and doing things. So I love the idea of using your breath and using your tapping and using the oils so that you can do that reset. Now, you also talked about the flight and fight mode. So I just thought I'd mention Valor, because this
Ah,
is the
yeah.
oil for flight and fight. Now, Catherine and I had all sorts of issues for an hour before we hopped on to this show today. And before I hit the live button, I got my Valor out and I just took a breath and took a moment. And as I said to Catherine, just, instead of just jumping on and being frazzled and anyway, so this is what we do with our Valor. We apply it, and we make a bit of a scent tent, and I always like to move it through my aura and through my energy field. And if it's your base chakra you're working on, just tune into your feet. And I love to connect with Mother Earth too. I liked your imagine a line going from here down to Mother Earth, because it is that it is so important for us to have our feet firmly on the ground and not just be in our head. And as women tend to have this overactive mind that takes us in all sorts of places, scurrying here and scurrying there, I know it's one of my challenges to keep myself centered, grounded, and even focused. So we've
Yeah.
got Biddy's here. I mentioned to Biddy that Catherine Biddy, that you might join us, and Biddy's saying, "Oh, I need my Valor back soon." And hi, Catherine. So it's great to see you here, Biddy, with us. So as far as I don't know, I just have to have this little news break of Valor in the US convention. Catherine, I'm not sure whether you've caught up on the news, but we had rosewood in our original Valor, and we all loved our original Valor. And we were so disappointed when the rosewood couldn't be accessed from sustainable sources anymore. And Young Living has solved that problem. Have you heard
Ah,
the news?
no, I didn't
Yeah,
hear. That's
so exciting. So we're now partnered with a farm, I think it is. I don't know whether you'd call it. It must be a farm where the Valor is. The rosewood. We can access our beautiful rosewood again, and Young Living is bringing the original rosewood back into stock in the USA, and we'll be looking forward to it being accessed here in Australia. And I don't have any news on when that may happen, but we are pretty excited that the original Valor is coming back. Mind you, I've actually fallen in love with the Valor that they created in place of the original Valor. Do love it so much. Now,
very good.
you talked about colour, and you also talked about sound. So we can use essential oils, but we can use colour. and you touched on the word red or the color red. Now, if you feel your base chakra is inactive or not, or needs a bit of help, well, one thing I will say to people, go and get yourself some red socks or red knickers or red pants, or sit on a cushion or a couch that's red, or get a red scarf, do something red. And or even in meditation, when I do a color visualization, I usually start with bringing the red up through the base chakra, bringing it up from Mother Earth, up through your toes, through your legs, and up into the lower part of your hips, because that area is what is covered in the red. So the red is, it's to do with your legs, your feet, your bones, and your large intestines. So if you have lost your mojo, or you get up and go, bringing red into your life is so important. And a lot of people, I'm in Melbourne at the moment, and everyone wears black. It's either black, grey, or white. So I often wonder for a start why. And I get it. Black's great and black, I actually have more respect for black now than I used to. But when you are only tuning into these, I call them almost neutral colors, or if you are just in that energy all the time, how do you activate yourself? So another way to do it is to bring in a red or a dark stone, a red stone, or some of the deeper, deeper brown stones, or have a drink of our Ningxia red, to allow that energy center to be nourished. So yeah, if you like your whites and your grays and your blacks, make sure you get a ribbon and put it to your knickers, or get some stone and put it in your pocket, hold it in your hand. Some oils that you could be using for that, there's quite a few. I'm just going to read off a list here. I have a chart here, and this has the frequencies of the notes. It has the essential oils, and it has the gems and crystals that you can use as well. So, actually, no, there's no gems and crystals, but anyway. Oh no, there is. So garnet, ruby, or bloodstone are three crystals that will support your base chakra. And the essential oils that are listed here are cardamom, carrot seed. Now you think of carrots, they're red, they're orange, they've got that red in them, because orange is a blend of red and yellow. Cedarwood, which is a tree oil. Now, all your tree oils will be great for your base chakra, because when we think about trees, what we can see above the ground might be this much, but below the ground, we've got the same amount of that below the ground, with the roots that go right deep into the ground, where they get their goodness from as well. And we know that tree oils are going to help with that grounding and balancing of our root chakra. And the tree oils are good because they support the root chakra, but they actually support all chakras and help us to flourish, up on the higher parts of our chakra system. Fennel is mentioned here, frankincense. Now, frankincense is a great oil. It's a tree oil, so it's good for that grounding, but it's also good for the energy centers above our navel as well. Myrrh.
Beetroot.
Pardon?
Beetroot
Yeah.
as well.
So if you're talking about vegetables, beetroot, probably any root crops would have that support as well. Nutmeg, patchouli, it says peppermint and vevita. So vevita is an oil that, if people are finding their sleeping patterns are not, going so well, you can get some vevita. And even the cedarwood oil, you could probably try any of these oils on your big toe, because that's your brain, but it's also, the toe is in the base chakra of your body, but it also has, really powerful connections to your brain. So when you're putting the oils on your toe, you're actually, if you give them a massage, you're actually supporting your mind as well, and bringing it into balance, which is what happens to us when we're out of balance and we let our mind race in all directions and ahead of ourselves. So also talks about black pepper, and whenever I refer to black pepper, that's the get up and go oil. And if you think about pepper, it's kind of hot, so it's going to support your movement. And clove, ginger, jasmine, rosemary, and sandalwood are other oils that are going to help with that earth survival. So, getting down, or even, going for a walk on the ground barefoot. We now know about the electromagnetic energy we get from Mother Earth. So do you go barefoot much, Catherine? Is that something that you...
Well, I'm barefoot at the moment.
Yes.
And I'm walking outside barefoot. And our friend Kate, who introduced me to the oils, actually, she's a great barefooter. And I know that she went from being able to walk in the snow to something like 40 minutes in the snow or some long time. And she built up. And she also says that snakes don't bother you when you walk barefoot in the bush around their home. And she said the snakes, they can feel the vibration and they go away. How interesting is that?
Yes.
Not only do you earth, but I love to go down the beach and walk in the ocean. And that's my way of earthing. And if you do 15, 20 minutes a day, it's really good. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could put these oils on at night. And if you go along the arch of the foot and sort
Yes.
of roll the oils into the arch of the foot, I think it takes about 1 minute, doesn't it, Kay, to get to the brain?
I think about 20 seconds for the oils to go right through the body.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, pretty quick. So always using oils on your feet. If people say, what do I do with them? And I just say, well, just put them on your feet. And if you cover the whole of the foot area, you're going to be giving all the organs in your body a really good workout, because you are working with the connection through the reflex points with all parts of your body. Now, some people, have back issues and they can't get to their feet, or they can't bend down. So our hands are also represented, all the vitality points are represented in the palms of our hands. So you can give yourself a good massage. And so your thumb represents your head, and this is your sinuses. It's like the foot chart. If you put your foot chart, your hand on the foot chart, they are very similar, which is quite interesting. So our base chakra, when you drop your arm down by your side, your hands actually sit in your base chakra. So any support that you can give your hands is also going to be activating those parts of your body as well. So emotionally, if we are blocked in our base chakra, or if we have heavy emotions around anger, frustration, and things like that, if we are not working with our emotions so that and there's nothing wrong with anger, so long as we work with it in a positive way. It's a bit like fear. Fear is a great emotion, so long as we listen to what it's telling us and come to terms with, what the messages are. What are we learning if we're angry, and looking, peeling the layers off to see what the anger is really about. Now, most of us will get frustrated and traumatized if we've got experiences from childhood or past lives, something in the past. Until we work through those and release them, we can be blocked energetically. So if I had anger issues and I just wanted to, pick up chairs or go and punch someone out, things like that, that's not going to be effective. However, I've discovered with my anger or my frustration, I needed to come back to a place of understanding what was happening. Now, when we understand what is happening, then we can bring in the release and take some positive steps forward.
True. Yes. Well, there's a lot of information there. And when we get to the core of the issues, such as the beliefs and the emotions, and then we also work with frequency, which we do with the oils and then the body work, putting all that combination together can be very helpful, hugely helpful. And a lot of this we can do for ourselves as well. And that's what Kay is really good at, is getting people empowered to be able to self-heal.
Hmm. Absolutely. Self-healing is what it's all about.
Yeah.
And the only one who can do that is ourselves. However, we can use tools like, or go, and I highly recommend, because if I hadn't gone to mentors, healers, facilitators to help me through my years of trauma, disappointment, struggle, all of those things, where my base chakra, my ability to feel that I was secure in my survival, when I was impacted by all of those things, I would go and go to people like Catherine, and I remember going to a kinesiologist, self-help, all those kind of things, and coming to terms with, if I'm angry about something, what is the anger about, and how can I channel that anger so that I can move forward with more ease and grace. And that's where some of these practices can come into place. So, yeah, let's go back to some of those things that you talked about. We did a list earlier in the show about what are the positive things if our base chakra is working in action, or what does it support us with? Let's see if we can
Well,
flesh some of those out.
one of them is abundance, because when we get out of the survival mode and we feel safe in our body, then the abundance starts to flow. And quite often we lack abundance and flow is because we've been taught from the get-go, even from conception. There is what we've been taught is perhaps is that our parents might have come through, grandparents might have come through very hard times. And abundance is, or financially, for example, is in one hand and out the other. So how many
Yeah,
times do we hear these kind of things? It goes as quickly as we get it.
yeah.
Or what would another saying be?
Money doesn't grow on trees.
Oh, exactly. Well, it does. If you're a
Yes.
if you're a farmer, it does.
Yes.
Yeah. And
And
so we've had all these things programmed into our system. So whether it's on an ancestral level, a personal level, and even on a soul level, it's possible over to have these beliefs stored. And then in order to free ourselves of these beliefs, we can do it, but it's identifying those beliefs. And sometimes when I work with people, you can have your eyes open or shut. I've just been reading Theta Healing, learning a lot from Viana, who wrote those books. And she talks about if your eyes are shut or if they're open, and you say the belief, sometimes it's a yes to the eyes shut. That means it's coming more through the family, the ancestors. Where if the eyes open, that's more likely to be your own personal journey. And so fascinating, isn't it? So what we do is we clear the belief by identifying it, and then we may use an essential oil, breathe it in, turn that belief around, and then start flowing with our abundance. So that was one of the things we talked about. Yeah. And then you mentioned sleep, and so
Mhm.
good sleep patterns. So when we're not in that phase of coping or ready alert, then our body can yeah, and also it affects the bladder and spine and the feet. And emotionally, it's about self acceptance and also self preservation. So, quite often, people, when you test them for I love myself, well, maybe with their eyes open, they might say yes, but with their eyes closed, maybe not. So, on some level, we're not really accepting and loving ourselves. We can correct that, we can turn that around and come into a state of knowing who we are and who we are in creator sources. We've been created with the knowing the truth of who we are. So just using the words of, say, for example, Jesus in the Bible, I am one with the Father, is the Father one with me, and I'm one with you as you are one with me. And as he's talking about this I am presence and that spark. And so it's about knowing who we are And so by knowing who we are, we can feel that safety. We can feel that flow in our energy.
Mm. And if we want change in our life, we need courage, but
Yeah.
support that courage, we need to nurture ourselves. Now, Tony Coppins, nice to see you. And Tony says, I teach people to turn the negative around into a positive. It really helps as long as you believe it. I agree with that.
Yeah.
However, sometimes we don't necessarily believe it at first, but the believing to me comes in the saying it and bringing that into our subconscious and creating new patterns, new thoughts, new intentions. And if people lose belief in themselves, well, the blend believe is what I would be adding to those affirmations. So we've got to catch ourselves, our thoughts, and
Yeah.
catch what we're thinking, and even our emotions. Actually, I was on earlier on, and I pulled the card believe, and it was around, believe, bringing more belief back into yourself, so that you need to give yourself this positive encouragement. And when you use the word believe, you need to look at all your thoughts. That's what it was. You need to be responsible for your thoughts and your emotions and your actions. So if you've got something in your mind that is, a repetitive thought about yourself, as, I'm not good enough, or who am I to be able to do that? Like myself, before I started doing these lives on Facebook, it took me, quite a few years to talk myself into, hey, just start with what you've got. And then as time goes on, you feel like, I feel like I've still got my L plates on, but then you kind of go, well, hang on, I'm not totally in that L plate. I've got my P's on because I've been doing it. I've been up and functioning. So I've been doing some of this type of work for a couple of years now. Do I think I'm an expert? Not necessarily, but I'm always hopeful that the message will land with those who need to hear the message. And sometimes you have people say, "Don't stop what you're doing," or "Hey, I loved what piece of wisdom I got from your conversation the other day." So the whole thing is, to me, if you are getting the nudge that you want change and you want to do something, my next question is, well, what will your action be? And I often talk about one drop of oil, one thought, and one breath. So those three things, just keep it really simple. And smell your oil, take that breath, and bring yourself, the new thought. So let's look at some turnarounds, maybe. I have to kind of think of something negative now, and or let me know if you can think of one.
While you're thinking about the thought, I just want to say that having been often finding repetitive thoughts coming back again and again and again. So part of what the first step is actually just awareness of that. So if you can just stop and take a look at the thought, not judge it, not get mad with yourself, don't fight with reality. The fact is the thought keeps coming back. But your awareness is the first step. So then you do what Kay is talking about. Take the one thought, the drop, and then you start to shift the energy. And if you work those beliefs and start through in self-inquiry, then quite often you find that as you dissolve those beliefs, the energy of the emotion becomes unstuck and it moves. It just goes away. And then sometimes you look back and you go, oh, why doesn't that bother me anymore? So
Yes,
you'll find it will go away.
yes,
First, awareness of that. Mm,
absolutely. And the
mm.
awareness and slash the acceptance. This is where I am.
Yeah,
This is where I
that's right.
want to go. So you're not necessarily going to take that big leap straight away.
Yes.
And but little by little, like, one step, one foot in front of the other. And, I can't, if you want to build a house, you've got to put your plans in, you've got to design it, then you've got to, there's this whole process. And that's true, Tony. People feel they aren't confident in who they are. And
Yeah.
there's lots of reasons for that. They don't love themselves. Yeah. So I remember years ago, one of my mantras was, I love and approve of myself. And
Yeah.
even the idea of saying that to yourself is an amazing thing, because
Mm.
do we think about loving ourselves and then touching the emotion of that and then discovering what does that really look like and how does that feel? And once you start loving yourself, you can uh, start giving yourself nurturing and start saying yes to things that previously you might have said no to. So it's so important, because once you start saying yes, it opens new doors. And once you start saying no, it closes those doors to what you don't actually want in your life. So Tony's, yeah, they don't love themselves. And loving it, like I just, have this lovely vision of, imagine if everyone in this world loved and approved of themselves, what a world we would be living in. And I feel that that is the way forward. And the way forward really is for each and every one of us to come to terms with that self-acceptance, self-love, self-empowerment. And as we do, we become beacons for other people, because people, might look at us and go, wow, what a little bit of that. How does it happen? And, oh gosh, a long 30 years ago, I think I made a decision that I wanted to be an inspiration for other people. And I knew that wasn't going to happen overnight. But as time went on and I got involved in my own self-healing and I've allowed myself to evolve, well, for me, using essential oils was the icing on the cake, or the candles on the cake, actually, because they ignited a flame within me. And uh, that has empowered me to be more than who I was in the past, and to do that inner transformation, so that each of us, as we transform, we start walking on the pathway of our highest order. And that is a beautiful thing, because then your soul's happy, because your soul is doing what it's meant to be doing. And one of my other sayings is, follow your divine nudges. So I know so many people that they might think, oh, I'd like to have my own business. But, I couldn't do that. Well, why couldn't you? And that's usually because we build this great big wall up, and we think there's so many things to do. And there is so many things to do, but you don't have to build the wall and climb it and scale it and, stand at the top of that wall and succeed in that moment. It is an ongoing journey. And we all move and change. Anybody, someone in the acting world, where do they start off in, some little acting class after school and find they love it, and then develop and grow. And that's what we're here for, not to be flown instantly to the top of the mountain. And I think comparing ourselves with other people is something else that holds us back, because we look at other people and we think, oh my gosh, they've got it all, but not necessarily. I used to think everybody who was married, when I was single mum, and you don't know whether you've experienced this, but I'll bet you did. You would take your children to school, or you would go to something happening at school, and I used to think, oh, all those people are, they've got this happy family and everything's roses. It doesn't always equate to that. So you've just got to let go of that comparing yourself with other people as well.
Yes, when you compare, there's always somebody greater and someone lesser. But actually, from a spiritual point of view, that's not the truth. There's no greater or no lesser,
Mm.
and I think that comparison is taught to us as well. Look at the Joneses or the Smiths, or there's always something better about them, but not necessarily. They might be more creative in some ways. but I think it's just coming back to find out what our strengths are, and not always what we think. And some people, their strength is being. Where I live in an eco village, and people around here, there's some people that are just amazing gardeners, and they just have these green thumbs, and they just grow things so naturally. And of course, they're in touch with nature. And I
Yeah.
think some we have an idea that what is success, but that's not what we think it is.
Mm. Absolutely, and that is a good point. So if people are wanting to be more grounded, start
Mm.
growing some veggies, and if you're not in a place where you can do that, well, just get yourself a little pot and sit it on your windowsill. Just
Yeah,
little things can make a really big difference. It doesn't mean you've got to conquer everything. Just start with, I always say, start with something doable
yeah,
and build on that so that
right. Yeah,
and see how you feel, because you might think, "Oh, yeah, I'd like to grow veggies," and then you go, "Actually, this doesn't really work for me." So we
yeah,
can't what is it? That one size doesn't fit all.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
all different in the tapestry of life. Just find your niche, and to do that is to follow your joy. And when you're in your state of joy, things open up, and then you're on the path, because that satisfaction feeds your soul. So, Tony's internet connection is playing up. We've been having all sorts of crazy things happening here today. But, when you fall down, you can get up. You don't have to fall down and stay down. You can fall down and you might need something to help you get up. But, you know, doing the best you can is all you can do at any given moment. And we have lovely Kate Calvert, who has joined us. Welcome,
Okay.
Kate. We're talking all things base chakra, survival, and really, I think the thing is to move beyond the survival of the fittest. So let's rise above the level of survival. And then as we do that, then we bring balance into all our chakras as time goes on. So I know, Catherine, you and I, in our next conversation, we're going to focus on the sacral chakra and what that means to us. So the base chakra is also, according to this chart, it's the note C at 262 megahertz. So when we are looking at to support the base chakra, you can play the note C with a bowl or a chime or a drum or something that resonates with that, because we are bodies of light, and we are frequencies. And this is what I love about the oils, because they bring the frequencies in to support who we are and to support our wholeness. And everything is a frequency anyway. So when we are working with our words, our actions, and our deeds, they're all the things that come together to support the whole of who we are. So I think is there anything else you want to add to that before we head off? And
Ask Kate if she's got a tip. Kate Calvert.
yeah, so anyone else here who would like to add any tips around the base chakra? And I do want to just talk about abundance, because abundance isn't just money. Abundance is abundant in love, abundant in joy, abundant in experiences. And something that I'm really focusing on so much this year is abundance of possibility. So when you come to a standstill or come to a transition into a new and exploring a new place, and it might bring grief, it might bring unhappiness, it might bring uncertainty. But if we look at it with a lens of possibility, what could be possible? Change doesn't always have to be a challenge or the end of the road, or it doesn't mean we have to stick with the grief. When we embrace the change, embrace our courage, it opens the door for our expansion and
Yeah,
possibility to bring more joy, more happiness, and more harmony.
that's right. And also, it's experiencing. I remember reading Wayne Dyer once, And he said, if you want the new car, then go in it, sit in it, drive it, experience it, smell it, feel it. And I had 3 kids, very active. There was all kinds of sports people, and I needed a bigger vehicle. So I thought, oh, I need a van. And and I remember, this is a great story about manifesting. And I just put the word out, and then one of my friends called me up and said, listen, I've got a brother that's got this van. But I'd just been in the garage, and I had driven this big red Taraga, and it was great, except it was about 10,000 more than I wanted to spend. It was about 18,000. And anyway, my friend just called me up, said, I heard you want a van. I said, yes. She said, my brother's selling one. And when I found out about it and had a look at it, and the pictures and things, she said, it's good, Nick, and blah, blah, blah. And she says, I tell you what, Catherine, I know you've got the 3 kids and working hard. She says, I'll buy it and you can pay me back. And guess what
Oh,
it was? It was a red Taraga. So
oh,
smell it, feel
yes,
it, see
yes,
it,
yeah,
experience it, and
yes.
then surrender it. And it's amazing what you can manifest.
And that's
Yeah,
but another thing is to draw it or write it down, because the act of writing
yeah,
sets things in motion, and it helps us
true,
to ground
true.
whatever our dreams and wants and desires and wishes are. So I'm going to thank you so much for joining me today, Catherine.
Thank
And
you.
once again, through persisting through the trials and tribulations, I know I was kind of going, oh, we could just not bother with this. Let's do it tomorrow. But you just quietly kept on diligently doing things and kept keeping us going, which I really admire and appreciate about you. Kate says grounding intention, totally 100%. Catherine, I did that with my car.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm the same with cars. It usually takes me
Yeah.
about a year to manifest my new car. But I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sure you could do it quicker. But it is start the dream. Start the dream and start believing that you can do the dream, and and
Yeah.
through all these actions and things we've been talking about today. So, thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you.
May
Yeah.
you go forth and grab your crystals, your oils, your red scarves, and whatever it is that you need to activate your courage to bring in the change that you want. Remember that Catherine has one-on-one sessions. In the description, you will see her phone number. She said she prefers texts. You can come and find me on Facebook, Case Essential Oil Wisdom. It's a group that you can join us in, where we talk about oils, and I generally pull cards and offer little readings and insights for people. What else do I need to say? And you can have a one-on-one with me. I work with color and energy, and you go away with a signature drawing, affirmations, and essential oil recommendations, so that you can start turning your life around and make sure that you bring these intentions into your life and ground them in, so that change that you want and desire is there for each and every one of us. So thank you very much from my heart to your heart,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I look forward to connecting with you next week. And we've got Kate saying Catherine's sessions are amazing, and Kay is oils and energy goddess. Thank you, Dan, for your lovely support.
Ditto.
Yeah, bingo.
Yeah.
Okay, lots of
Bye.
love. That's why Catherine and I resonate with each other and work together so well, because we both have great respect and admiration for each other's skills. So
Yes.
lots of love, everyone. Cheerio for today.
Bye.